a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
Bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. On that matter of the podcast, how are you today? Let me know in the chat if you will, and in the comments. That's if you're able to, because there's been a bit of banning going on this morning, including T-Duck, who got banned by mistake earlier on. Interestingly, so yeah, in the pre-show kerfuffle, who doesn't like a pre-show kerfuffle first thing in the morning? Yeah, sorry about that, Tita. Sculpa, muito sculpa, for banning you. I thought you were our other commentator who was just being a bit sort of boring and personal, really. You got to raise your game. You're very welcome on the show, but if it's just getting personal and silly, then we will just ban you like we did this morning, but hopefully not other people. There's collateral damage, and as we did this morning. So T-Duck back where he should be. Law and order, not so much. Better pun this morning, but not so much this morning. Yeah, on that note of the podcast, I was just saying before I interrupted myself again. Downloads last week of the podcast. 2,713 downloads of the Good Morning Portugal podcast, and that's up. But the stats go all over the place. I thought everyone had stopped listening, but there must have been a little bit of a delay in the stat reporting. Allegedly up by 1,000 and something, almost like up half as much again. But the most I think the headline numbers should be taken with a pinch of salt. But the interesting thing is the top 4 countries where the podcast is being listened to. United States, not entirely surprised by that. The continuing and growing interest in Portugal from the United States. The bulk, you might say, of the podcast listenership. Number 2, Brazil. Number 3, the United Arab Emirates. Portugal, down. Portuguese listens down, but Portugal being the number 4 slot of the top 4 countries where the podcast is listened to. So I found that interesting anyway. The UAE, very good. Okay, T-Duck's in, Law and Order was in, Coach Turner, Deagle, the wise men of the Gumpocalypse. We may not see a Slug here, of course, this morning because he's out and about, as we discovered yesterday. He is here. Oh, bless you, mate, for being here, despite being on tour and in Dublin. A bon dia todos feliz terça, you say, tudo bem. And Pete's here as well. Farmer Pete is in that building as well. Right there, mate, Babber. And the Ancient Mariner. Always good to have the Ancient Mariner as well. Can you give us a location, Ancient Mariner? You might have done already in the comments, but it's always interesting to hear wherever you are, you globetrotter. Mainly by sea and water, it has to be said. Occasionally by other means of transport. But he is our great and ancient mariner. And Owen just popped in as well. Good morning to you, Owen. How are things now? I don't know if you want to join me. We are talking to Tony in the north. A bit of Tony time this morning at around 9. Garvo's in as well. Great evening yesterday, Garvo. And we've got a Portugal quiz question, which you know the answer to because you were there last night. If you rewatch that Good Morning Portugal Wine Club show last night, you'll get the answer to the quiz. Great job, Ben Austin. Great to be hanging out with Gary, Linda, Terence, and the boy wonder, the mixologist Ben, whose idea it was to feature a Mises gin. I thought it was a Miki, a Misi. It was neither. It was a Mises gin in a kind of Latin way. Pete, a Mises. I believe the root there of the words we use, like amote, or amorous or amicable, those sorts of friendly and loving words. A Mises gin, then the friendly Portuguese gin. And it's friendly on the nose. We gave it 5 stars last night. It's really good. Can thoroughly recommend that. Commend it to the house. Where was I going there? I think I was yellow card to T-Duck. Very good. Oh, a little bit of a frog in the throat this morning. Happy to report back. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. Maybe that Owen give us a buzz later on. We are focusing on the north of Portugal today. Happy to report back on the weekend's fires. Okay, so maybe if you give us a buzz, we'll come onto the screen. Oh, there's a lot of Owen screen time. Maybe I think Mrs. M might not be happy if I have you on the last half hour of this show and then on hers as well, Owen. But if you're up for it, that'll be interesting to see the look on her face as she walks into the studio to see her guest on my show this morning. But it will be great, Owen. We'll have some pictures from the US from John Joao de Nort, and as well, it's a wide open space actually, which I think you'll really love, James. If you're not able to stick with us and see it because you're going out in Dublin, how was the tour yesterday? If you're able to stick with us, you'll see a beautiful wide open space of the United States in Colorado. And if you're not here, I shall send it to you personally, my friend. I love and appreciate all you do for the show, Banana Slug, including that incredible effort, James, to report in from your Airbnb in Dublin yesterday. So I hope you, the conch and the honey, are having a great time in Dublin at the moment. It's like Portugal, but without the rain and with better weather over here. Having said that, however, we do have a weather report here from the UK. It looks like there's going to be 32 degrees in the UK. For looking at the BBC website, I like the little humorous touches that the BBC website are including in their reports. UK weather, it's a little bit less wet and moist here this morning. It looks like there might be some sun in the sky. I'm going off for a cycle ride. Car's going into the mechanics, and I shall cycle home a little bit later on. UK weather, whilst it's been wet and cool here, UK weather heat health alert in place as temperatures hit 32 degrees. Wow. Be careful over there, you Brits. And gin and tonic we'll be talking about today. And so indeed does Antonio Barbosa, Tony Time today. He talks about in his report from a home that you can afford for 230,000 in the Minho. He mentions gin and tonic as well. We didn't plan that. It's just what he happened to say during his recording, and we'll talk to him in person. Stay tuned, he says, to learn about a great property available soon in the Minho. Oh, it's not sold yet. That's great, because as soon as that goes on the market, that bad boy is gone. You heard it here first. Cheers, Tony, for sharing that with us. Much appreciated. Okay, let's go back to the beginning then. Oh, Scorchio 32 in the UK. He might fly home for some of that. The people of Leeds, I suspect, Darren, will be stripping down to their Union Jack shorts, getting the barbecue on, and getting themselves some nice pink or red skin, both on the barbecue and on their own bodies. Squire of the Shire's here as well. Great to see you. Good morning, everyone. I think you enjoyed Mrs. M's debut as the anchor, the anchoress. That's probably a sexist slur, isn't it, calling somebody an anchoress? Anyway, the anchor of the all-new Barefoot broadcast. I really enjoyed taking part in that yesterday. I think Squire of the Shire's enjoyed that too. Okay. Thank you for your toing and froing earlier on, T-Duck, and great to see you back in the room. What is this? Who knew? European law considers cyber stalking and defamation a criminal offence, punishable with What? Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, and apparently you can also use the YouTube comment sniffer tool to extract IP addresses. That'll be interesting. Wow. Interesting stuff. Coach Turner, cheers, T-Duck. You got my back, man. I see that. Bon dia, Gumpers. Last full day on the Costa del Sol. It's a great name, isn't it? And for British people, it conjures up a certain part of Spain where good weather is almost guaranteed, almost, or maybe used to be. There was a time, wasn't there, where you'd go there and your hotel wasn't quite finished, but at least you'd have great weather and maybe a bit of food poisoning. But I suspect Coach Turner's gone to a far nicer part of the Costa del Sol than the places I mentioned. Weather looks fine today. I have to say I prefer the Western Algarve. Yes! But being with good friends is always fun. Oh, nice to hear that, Coach T. And you have a God Squad tip of the day for us. Did you get my bingo wings advice? I mean, who am I to teach my grandmother to suck fitness eggs in this context? But I wondered what you made of my bingo wings suggestion yesterday. Returning from injury is never easy. Carrying on then from yesterday. And as I said, should be done gradually. That's when easier versions of strength exercises are useful, such as press-ups against the wall, Always good to have a friend take part in those as well, isn't it? With their full permission, of course. Standing up from a chair rather than full squats. There you go. Who doesn't like a full squat first thing in the morning, though? But work your way towards it, of course. Cup of hot water might help. Work around the injury. Stop if it hurts, but persevere and you'll recover quickly. Coach Turner, I can imagine if you would prefer me to deliver your God Score tips of the day without added commentary, I would completely understand that. Apologies this morning for doing so. Bon dear, thank you very much for that. For anyone returning from injury, take it steady. And there are versions of strength exercises right there, and many others, I'm sure, if you're needing to ease yourself back into the game, as it were. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a beautiful sunny Belfast. Day 4 of a heat wave, already 15 degrees, and we'll be rising to 23 in Belfast. Could get used to warmer weather here, says Deagle. How you doing, mate? I just gently ignore negative people in life and let them be. Best thing, isn't it? Would you let them sleep in your bed? Why let them sleep in your head? No, I have had relationships like that, but no more. Thankfully. Good morning, all. Morning to you, Ancient Mariner. Oh, hi. Is it right to say that? Or am I alerting you to some potential danger unnecessarily, like a sailor who cried wolf? Nice and toasty now. Let me ask you, how would you like me to address you as the captain? As a greeting here, and others I'm sure will do so in quite the same way. And maybe that's a message, a memo to everybody this morning. How would you like to be addressed? Your Majesty, that sort of thing. And we can all at least try it for a day and see if it sticks. Nice and toasty now in the south of England. Yeah, off along the coast to Dorset today, lashings of ginger beer and all that. Well, again, amazing timing, coincidence, whatever you might call it. There's no such thing as a coincidence, is there? I had this a Mises gin last night with ginger beer. It was the London Mule, apparently, according to Ben. And I would call it the Stockwell Mule because Stockwell being Little Portugal in London, it was full circle to have a London Mule with a Portuguese gin in it. It was really, really good. Okay, excellent stuff. I don't think it's possible to post URLs in the chat box, but the reference was to Enid Blyton's 5 Go Mad in Dorset. And it was also the comic strip, comic strip, those Dawn French, Rick Mail, who else am I trying to think of? Jennifer Saunders and Ade Edmondson. And there were others, weren't there, in that crew who did their own satirical version based on their posh childhoods, I think, with lashings of ginger beer and reading Enid Blyton, who's not so welcome, I think, in the most on general publication now in schools. She probably hasn't been on school reading lists for a very long time now. Maybe she's gone from English language into English history. It's possible, isn't it? Bon dia, Gumpers from T-Duck, 7:59. Deep thought of the day then from Richard Feynman. It's truly a gift that keeps on giving in the wisdom department. I think nature's imagination is so much greater than man's. She's never going to let us relax. Oh, that's a lovely thought, isn't it? And I'm reminded in the hurly-burly yesterday. Is that this? I think I've already got the video. Thank you, Tony, for that. I think I've already got it, but we can play that one as well. We can do it. It's like New York, so good. We're going to play the video twice, maybe later on. Where was I going with this? I forget now. Talking of great quotes and nature's imagination here, according to Richard Feynman, being so much greater than man's. You would hope so in a way, wouldn't you? But that's, I felt good reading that. That's what it's all about here. Feel good environment, atmosphere. That's why we do have to sometimes manage the boundary. Feynman was a keen popularizer of physics through books and lectures. And I let that thought go there. And I was thinking, it doesn't really matter. But it was one I'm thinking now, I wish I could remember what I was just trying to say. They are on a spectrum, aren't they? Thoughts that come and go. Sometimes, it can't have been that important. Sometimes I really want to remember that one. That one feels really like it was important. Gains the beer then. The cinema of Portugal started in the late 19th century. Can you imagine? Cast your minds back. And yeah, I mean, this would be of interest to Richard Feynman, wasn't it? The physics involved in creating cinema for human beings. We haven't always had it, have we? And in our time, it's changed from the picture house into this smaller screen and how we receive movies. It's incredible, isn't it? What's happened in the last 100 years, for example. Cinema of Portugal, however, and can you imagine the people around the world who are seeing moving pictures dancing on the screen for the first time? That must have been magical. The Cinema of Portugal started in the late 19th century. I'm going to interrupt myself again, trying to share this. Can you remember the first time you went to the cinema? Were you wowed, or the first time you saw TV? Can you remember that? And how did you feel? The Cinema of Portugal, we'll read it this time. Cinema of Portugal started in the late 19th century after the medium was introduced to the country in 1896 with the screening of them newfangled foreign films. I wonder which was the first. Are we going to find out? In that same year, 1896, the first Portuguese film was made and released, Saido do Pessoal Operário de Fábrica Confiança, the workers leaving the Confiança factory. And it was an instant hit. Look at those people leaving a factory. That's amazing. This first movie theater. I don't know if it was if that was premiered in this first movie theater that we're talking about now in 1904, and the first talking film was made in 1931 for Portugal. The golden age of film in Portugal began in earnest in 1933, with a Canção de Lisboa, the Song of Lisbon, and lasted 20 years. That does sound amazing. I know where I was going with this. In the hurly-burly yesterday, forgot the dad jokes. You know what? Thank you for that meme as well, Tida. I'm going to share with you Monday's dad jokes because I forgot to do it yesterday. Because I was having Mrs. M breathing down my neck, which I actually quite like, but she was keen to get her show started on time. Bit of a stickler for these sort of things. She definitely needs to be more Portuguese about that, I would say. But the dad jokes yesterday were as follows, and I'm sorry if I'm taking you by surprise this morning. And thank you for the Cane Sabia this morning about Portuguese theatre, well, cinema theatre. They were film theaters, weren't they? Of course, before they just became plain cinemas. In the golden age of movies around the world, and the dad jokes from yesterday. Then, so you'll have a dad joke sandwich this morning. You'll have some now. So you have been warned, and you'll have some later, which I shall share with Tony, who may join us for 30 minutes. He may join us for longer. We shall see. And Owen, of course, will join us on the blower on the screen to update us on the fire situation in the north and what he experienced at the weekend. My wife asked, "Are you even listening to me?" What a weird way to start a conversation. The first of your dad jokes. What do you call a snake that is exactly 3.14 meters long? It's a python. Top drawer. And some bald men still own a comb. They just can't part with it. And yes, I did have some strategic hair placement yesterday. Had a lovely time at the barber's yesterday. My barber in San Martino de Porto is on the seafront. It wasn't the usual lady who's in there at Barbeira de Batista. And can you see the sculpting he's done on my face? Linhas on my face. And he's carefully placed the aging gentleman bits on the top as well. So if I can do some strategic combing, Pete, you'll be glad to hear. Really enjoyed the visit to the barbers. I was in the chair for about an hour yesterday. It was great, and had a proper cutthroat shave. And every time I'm in that situation where I'm hoisted up on the barber's chair and then tipped back, I can't help but think of a gangster movie that someone's going to come in with a Tommy gun and everyone else is going to hit the floor and there's going to be a scene in there. But no blood yesterday, I'm glad to report. Okay. If I want another one here from is that one of the dad jokes? Yes, it is. I can't. No, take it off the screen. Not yet, Carl. Okay. On the front page of the BBC News website, they are attributing this week's 3 days of warm weather to climate change, notwithstanding that July and August were the wettest and coldest in recent memory. Thank you for that. Yes, and I did share that already this morning. Thank you for that, Ancient Mariner. I don't know who's. They weren't, of course, the BBC's annotations. In case you did notice that this morning, I don't know who did that, but very funny. Ancient Mariner, wettest and coldest, not in Italy or Portugal or Spain or Greece, but if you are restricting it to Donald Trump's Russian hotel room, you might be right. Not sure exactly what you mean there, Pete. It is, and I'm not. It's not a place I want to go. Yes, Portugal, Spain, or Greece, but Donald Trump's Russian hotel room. No, that's. I guess there are people who'd want to go there. Not Ubi, of course. It is wet. It's always wet and cold in the UK. Maybe 3 days of summer were in May or will be in September. And back to you, Pete. Spain, I think, had some bad flooding last month, but the UK has been really lousy this summer. Unfortunately, unfortunately or fortunately, if the weather's been lousy, might have been good to be indoors, right? Indoors, there's a phrase from the southeast. I left it indoors. Well, I'll leave you to your, I think, probably your climate change to and fro there. And however, yes, let's just end with this. On the other hand, I do agree with you entirely that it's all Trump's fault. Okay. Yes, I think there's more. There are more climate change to and fro's there. You are depriving your body of its annual tapas. We had the most amazing chicken gizzards stew last week. My goodness. And Antonio Barbosa will be joining us soon. He's able to pop across for a chicken gizzard Spanish style if he wishes, although the Portuguese do that very well too. Banana Slug, where are you off to today in Dublin? Or is your stay coming to a close, I wonder? You did tell me yesterday, but there's a lot going on yesterday. All right. Farmer Pete continues. The flooding is caused due to the ground being too hard for the water to penetrate. So yes, there's all sorts going on, isn't there, at the moment? All sorts of theories abound, and as well as us all being amateur virologists, climatologists. I would say Pete is probably not an amateur farmer anymore, an agroecologist. Is that agriculturalist? So he's really getting his hands in the dirt there in central Portugal. So we can take what you say about farming as something coming from built on experience there, Pete. You too, honestly, get a room, Ancient Mariner and Solar Life Portugal. With your chat this morning. And yes, thank you for reposting everything this morning, T-Duck, because I inadvertently banned you earlier on. Okay, apparently, Pete says you should have a look at the photographic work of Carlos Relva in Golgão. You get such a great snap set of Portugal in the 1860s and 70s. So it sounds like a road trip to Golgão is in order. Yeah, will do, says T-Duck. I love old photographs of Portugal. I've been collecting old black and white postcards. Maybe you should have a section of that on our website or over at learnaboutportugal.com. Very good. Chief Constable over. I saw that. Chief Constable resigned yesterday with no functional government for 18 months in Northern Ireland. It is the most unappealing place to live in from that governmental point of view. And the Golgão Museum, apparently, this is great, as general knowledge here. It is a great museum, as quite a few of us, like Gary and Andy, can testify. Best to go in November when the most amazing festa, aside from Orca, is on with a disco. You can only enter on horseback. There you go, Golgão. But yeah, it sounds like a road trip might be coming together for that. And November. We were already booked in San Martino in November, but maybe next year we'll go there as a Good Morning Portugal weekend. Those are coming together very nicely. Apologies again for our wine club absence, but we had a lesson and spent half our time complaining about how old people are treated. Is that from the point of view of old people or just generally there? Good morning, SOS is how I think Ancient Mariner would like to. I can't be shouting out SOS, can I, on a live stream? That wouldn't be good. Pam's in, Darren's in. Great to see you, Darren. Antonio F is in. He's got some tongue-twisting action for us. But I think I've got to go to the Portugal. No, I'll do the Portugal quiz question of the day later. And it is about gin. But here's my earlier film that I made about Estado Líquido, which will take us towards our time with Tony this morning. But check this out. This is how we buy booze on the Silver Coast.
I'm in Estado Líquido, which is just on the outskirts of Caldas de Rainha. It is an amazing, well, behind me, all of Portugal's, well, here's the champagne and espumante section. And down these aisles here are every conceivable, imaginable Portuguese wine. I think this is one of the most comprehensive collections of alcohol, certainly Portuguese alcohol, in all of Portugal. And the other thing about it is, the supermarkets have a lot of Portuguese wines, of course, but it's so beautifully laid out and it just all looks so exciting here. Premium mixers. But what I wanted to show you here, the port selection, look at that. Is that enough port to be getting on with? The Estado Líquido, that's who we're here with. Established 1987. Truly amazing. If you like your booze, you've got to come here. And I just want to give you a quick tour of the studio and lab part of Estado Liquido. Look at this whiskey collection here. Oh, a brandy collection. There's the brandy. And there's your whiskey. Isn't that incredible? And just go a little bit further on into this area where, massive lipsticks. They're a bit special, aren't they? Ooh, right. Whiskey here with an E and without an E. And then as we make our way to the other end of this studio and lab, this is the lab part. It's got a coffee machine. Look at this. I'm sure if you could still smoke indoors, there would be cigars here too. How's that for a bar? I think our very own Ben Austin, our resident mixologist, would absolutely love to come here and mix up a few cocktails. Look at that. So, Estado Liquido, thank you very much for letting me do a little bit of filming here today. If you're in Caldestrenia and you like your booze, this is the place to come.
Oh, I need to unmute myself, don't I? It looks like that's the place Pam likes to go to as well for her Captain Morgan's dark rum. How do you mix that up? How do you take that, Pam? She says, Estado Liquido, the only place to buy Captain Morgan's dark rum there. T-Duck, thumbs up as well, Estado Liquido, to a lot of fans of that wonderful place. And I'll show you their gin selection a little bit later on. Mr. S, bon dia, a vossa excelencia. Excellencia, Carl. Your Excellency, Your Majesty, love all of these this morning and other suggestions for how we like to be addressed in the morning. We'll do our best to stick to these. There are a few nicknames here already, which I really love to see. Leela, good morning to you. Leela Bugazi, how are you going with the job search? And a one or two, Captain Pugosh, I can't possibly call you that in the morning. And I'm not reading out these comments about sniffing in underpants. Will you behave, you lot? Honestly, I've never had food poisoning in Spain or Portugal. Had food poisoning twice in Dorset, though. Morning, Doug, and a cheers to you. What is the Welsh way of saying cheers? Because we've got your drink that you sent us, your alfresco in Carnarvon. Beautiful evening in Carnarvon. And you were drinking some traditional Welsh lager by the look of it there. That's a fine sight. I hope you had a great time and you were avoiding the seafood there. I can't believe it. You come to Portugal and you don't like fish, or especially shellfish. I think you're missing out. What is it? Bones, texture? What is it you don't like about those? A couple more comments then before Tony joins us. Early cinema recollections. Knotted hankies. What is going on in the chat this morning? Very boisterous. Rambunctious. I think is the word that can be applied this morning. Apparently, back in the day, back in Diane's day, they used to buy gin by the pint in Croydon. It was the ruin of many of the rather elderly ladies of the night that fell victim to Jack. Back in Diane's day, that is so rude, Pete. Okay, and gin by the pint. I think the old ladies drink it. I'm not talking about you, Diane. I'm talking about the old ladies that Pete is mentioning it. Gin and orange, gin and lemon. That's how the old ladies of UK used to drink it, with a bit of citrus. First cinema experience I remember was seeing Jaws as a 5-year-old. You saw Jaws. What sort of parent takes their child to see Jaws as a 5-year-old? Wasn't it a PG? And if my memory isn't playing tricks, it was a drive-in movie in South Africa. Wow, Pam. Yes, I think maybe South Africa a bit like Portugal, where you can go in and see a zombie gore fest in a cafe while you're eating your lunch, with the grown-ups movies on the TV in the cafe. But that's incredible seeing. I mean, have you been in the water since you were 5? I wonder. Incredible. Yes, Pete, thank you. Awesome, Carl. You've realised that a comb over makes sense. And I did get a bit of big gust action as well, the way my parting's been done. Having a comb over and living by the sea, not the best idea. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, very memorable because my brother threw up halfway through the main song. Oh, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, we love you. Yes, what a great movie. Spoiled by Terence there by the sound of it. And not gone unnoticed that you're complaining about how old people are treated now you're over 50, Pete. Dorset beckons like a big beckony thing. Have a fun week, one and all, and hope to catch up with you after the weekend again. Toodle pip, says Ancient Mariner. Thanks for popping in, mate. See you soon. Smash that like button and a bon dia from Sarah Yerman this morning. Great to see you here. And a Kraken rum. Big fans, I think, here of the Estado Líquido. Talking about Enid Blyton and all sorts going on. A very mixed bag of comments and energies in the chat this morning. We'll come back to some of those a little bit later. It's now time to welcome our buddy in the north. It's Tony time, folks. Here he comes. Good morning, Senor Barbosa. How are you? Tudo bem?
Bon dia. Hello, everyone. Yeah, it was an active chat this morning. I saw people are really, when you get gin and alcohol early in the morning, you get people go riled up, Carl.
Is that what's happening, do you think? They're having a quick one this morning, I think, before we've even got the day.
Yeah, it's good. It's summer's almost over. The fall is right around the corner. So, people are looking forward to it.
Wow. Yes. Well, okay. We're not judging here, are we? And we do like a little bit of energy in the chat. So thank you for all of your comments, including Pete being in Y front heaven. Do people still wear Y fronts? I won't put you on the spot, Tony, and ask you that question. But there you go. There's the tone of the comments this morning. You mentioned the fall being just around the corner. Is that how it's feeling now, my friend, in the north of Portugal?
Yeah, it's great. The weather, I love fall. I love spring. I love fall. It's not too hot.
Right.
Summers here are not that hot anyway. They're a little more milder than the rest of Portugal. But, like when you go to bed, you just don't have to turn on the air conditioning anymore. You know what I mean? Like you can leave the window open, that nice breeze and stuff. And we had a little bit of little rain yesterday. It's just takes the humidity off. So it's I love the fall. I love the winter. When you go to bed, you just want to snuggle up, put a little more extra blankets. I do miss that.
But Tony, you're just saying that it's not that it's a bit cooler. Doesn't get that hot in the north. And then you're saying it's time to turn the air conditioning off. It's all relative, isn't it? I mean, for people who we've talked about this stereotyping of the north, haven't we? Oh, it's cold up there. It's cold, wet, and windy. And you say it's not that warm, and of course it's not as warm as the south of Portugal, but you still get some high temperatures, and you have recently, and you've had wildfires up there, haven't you?
Yeah, and definitely it does get warm here. I mean, but not as warm. I mean, it's probably maybe if you go from here, like from the coast to Braga, okay, which is only maybe 30 minutes in, you could have a big temperature of 5-6 degrees easily, and then you would need air conditioning for sure. But the wildfires, they've been controlled, and I think Portugal definitely has gotten better in many things. It's gotten worse in others, but it's gotten better in others, and that's one of them.
That it's good to hear that, and that's reassuring, isn't it, to people who've seen these terrifying pictures from the summer, and more recently, I think in the last 2 or 3 weeks, the pictures of the wildfires and people sharing on social media have been a little bit, not just a little bit. They have been terrifying, haven't they? It's always horrible to see when someone shows you a nighttime picture of glowing hills in the distance, or in not so far away, in fact, as I was seeing at the weekend. But to reassure people around the world, the bomberos have improved greatly. Or maybe it's not them. We shouldn't say the bomberos have improved. The government have improved in their resourcing of the bomberos. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I would. That's probably right on the spot, especially with the means of prevent. Not only, I think fire. It's about all prevention first, right? So they've invested in that, in cleaning the hills, etc. So and so that's where they've been more effective. Because years ago, you got to remember there was no airplanes, helicopters, or nothing, and fires were pretty much non-existent or quickly put out. So the means of prevention, and of course, when you're investing quite a couple of millions on Canadair airplanes and helicopters and stuff. That's what's been significant. There's if you remember, like Carl, well, I'm not sure if you were here back in, say, 2004, 2005. We had some really big fires in Portugal, right? And it was terrible. And we've gotten better since then. Not to take the conversation into the fires, but it's just to say that we've gotten better in a lot of things. That's one of them for sure.
Well, yeah, and it's good to report, isn't it? Because the way the human mind works, we see bad things and it affects us deeply, and we have to see many more good things to compensate for that in the way that the mind seems to work. So that's a reassuring message. You know, it is a fact of life here. Let's not pretend it's not. Definitely a fact of life. There will be wildfires in Portugal. It's very unlikely that we'll ever see the end of that. But as you say, the prevention and the response has improved greatly since that awful wake-up call in 2017. So speaking of the summer giving way to fall, how has your summer been, Tony?
Terrible. You know, it's like going out to lunch and dinner with friends every single day.
Every day. Oh, mate.
Busy with clients, going to nightlife when you get home at 5 a.m, you got to get up at 9. It's just terrible. It's a rough life. Believe me, not being a realtor is not easy, Carl.
So you're getting ready for a rest, which a well-deserved rest in the fall and the winter. Do you hibernate up there, Tony? Is that how it works? You're like full-on festa guy throughout the spring and summer, and a few more festas, it has to be said, in the fall as well. And then what, hibernation? Is that what people do in the north? They go to bed in just after Christmas and wake up again in March?
No. I've been on a permanent vacation for more than 22 years, so that's just the way it is. Do today. Why wait for tomorrow? So celebrate. No, but things tone down a little bit because maybe with the rain coming in and stuff, you're a little more indoors, but you still have lots of friends always throughout the whole year that come in. Just happens to be that in the month of August, there's quite a few more. Let's just say it triples or quadruples, but you still have lots of friends, even from realtors that come in and visit. I had a lot this year. Well, I get a lot every year, but more and more in this last couple of months, I've been getting a lot of realtor friends coming in for a couple of days and stopping by to visit. I love it, and they get to learn about the real estate market here too and show them around a little bit. So being a little bit of a tour guide. And so in addition to your own family and friends, and so it's been a busy summer, but it's always, I love it because, you go, it's like, wow, it happened, like 2 months have gone by and, now the fall's coming in and it still keeps going and rocking. So no, there'll still be things to go out, new restaurants to discover, new places to see, houses to sell, friends to visit. So it doesn't stop, Carlito.
I'm so glad to hear that. What an enviable lifestyle. These agents, Tony, are they coming from? Are they local, domestic, or are they international agents that are coming and getting interested in the north?
International.
Really?
I'm all about global real estate. Global is the new local. Okay, and so from Canada, from the U.S., from the U.K., we had some from Colombia. Costa Rica. So we get a lot from everywhere all over the world, and when you're an international, it's like me then if I'm going to be visiting those countries, I'm definitely going to meet up with a lot of other realtors as well there. And you build those relationships. And that's what real estate is all about, Carl. It's about building relationships, little to do with homes. And then because then we can refer. It is. Real estate is all about relationships and building that relationship with our fellow colleague. Because why? Then the same way, not only anyone that works with us can recommend us and refer us, but think about one of our colleagues that has a client of theirs that they want to recommend and somebody to trust to send. That's who we work with. So we definitely build that relationship. That's what real estate is about.
That's amazing. So you've got agents from Costa Rica coming to Portugal. See, the first time I heard people saying, I've moved here from South Africa, from New Zealand, from Mexico, you're thinking, wow, there's a lot of information in that people disclosing that, isn't there? That these are the great destinations of the upwardly mobile or the globally mobile people who follow the sort of nomad capitalist idea of go where you're treated best. And Portugal is well and truly on that list. I mean, Costa Rica, someone mentioned to me the other day, great place to go. You get treated well there as somebody who might want to be looking for a dream lifestyle. But you've got Costa Rican agents looking at Portugal now.
Yeah, Costa Rica, Panama. We had back in, I think it was in May or June. But we get that because a lot of them want to come to Europe, right?
Yeah.
They want to spend, 2 or 3 weeks in Europe. And even if they just stay here for a week, I make it a point to meet up with them and they want to get to know. They're coming on a holiday. And so we as global realtors, work and business or pleasure is the same, So,
I've seen the videos. It's like food, wine, and lovely houses and beautiful scenery. Like you say, it's a living hell.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Let's not write this summer off yet, though. September and autumn is very special here, says Pete. It's far more like a second spring. What looked like a desert blooms into life with fragrances and colors that enrich the body and soul. He should be writing copy for the Portuguese tourist board, shouldn't he? That is wonderful.
Well said.
Yeah, well said. And we might have a late summer, mightn't we? Because you get this feeling, and we've got it in San Martino at the moment. It's like all the people are going now; they're leaving the town. Kids have gone back to school. People are going back to work, and you think, well, that's it. It's definitely autumn. But you can get a second blast of summer. We when we first arrived here in September, we spent. It did go cold eventually, but we had a summer to ourselves on the beach here in San Martino de Porto. So I'm hoping for that again this year. What might be referred to as an Indian summer. I don't know if the Portuguese use that phrase. I don't. Is there a phrase for the second summer here in Portugal?
O verão de São Martinho.
No.
Yeah,
I should know that.
You never heard of that?
I have. You remind. It's a St. Martin's summer, isn't it? Because it's the time of year going up into November where you might get better weather again. Oh, St. Martin's summer. Fantastic.
And that's when you have the chestnuts, the roasted chestnuts, and o pé d'água. That's when they open up from the barrel, they're going to put the wine in the bottles. And so you have a little bit of the roasted chestnuts. So dia de São Martinho, and usually, but the São Martinho, o verão do São Martinho, from leading up to that point in November before winter.
Yes, of course. Yeah, fantastic. Excellent to know. Right. The name of the show today, it's a bit of a clickbait attention grabber. Let's face it. What can you get for 230,000 euros in the Minho? We've got a little video to have a look at. So shall I play your video of your thought?
You can get two... actually 4 walls, and maybe if you're lucky, a window for 230 now in Portugal. That's what people have the idea that it's expensive, and it is. Portugal has become expensive, but here you can get 4 walls and 1 door and a window. That's minimum, and then but that's
and a few extras, as we're going to find out here.
And a few extras, maybe yeah.
So if you're not in the market to buy at 230k, you've also sent me a video of a beautiful house. I think we might have seen this beauty in previous conversations, but it's on the market now for on the rental market.
It's available for. Well, we had it rented for the summer, but it's a good property. We had it rented for the months of half of month of July and August. It was all rented for a summer rental, and so and up until the end of September, it's occupied. But in October, it's available, and it's a great property as well for anybody looking to discover the Minho. Rent first, don't buy unless you've been here for a couple of times in Portugal. Not only in the Minho, but Minho is specific because of the weather. Even Porto, figure it out if it's the right place. Always rent the property unless you've been here for a few months, a few times a year. You have friends. You know what the weather is like. You know what the country is like, and the people, the festivities, everything. Rent, get to know it, because then that way you're sure to see that's where you want to call home. And so this property is in Viana do Castelo. There's no shortage of services there, and it's a good for the D7 visa, which most people probably take advantage of. And so a great price of 1,500 euros. What can you get a rental like this kind of home? So definitely
you'll see that a little while. Yeah, we've got a video of that, and before we go there, we've got this video. So what are we looking at here then for the purchase price of 230,000, Tony?
It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. It's the home is about 20 years old, but it's never been painted since then. It's impeccable. Okay, the quality of the construction. It was built in reinforced concrete, the whole house, right? So you don't have those little fissures and breakings in the walls or anything with the painting. There's no humidity points, nothing. It's all it's centrally heated, and it's 2 levels, where the ground level or the basement level is an open space garage with the full bathroom there, lots of space, and also storage. And then the first level, that's where you have the 3 bedrooms, one of them en suite, another full bath, huge 8-in kitchen, nice family room, views to stand. But what's nice about this property and beautiful is the location. It sits in a high position, so you have a nice view over the rest of the valley into Valença. And it's got this beautiful, you'll see the video, but the exterior, like if you can imagine in the summer, you're having a barbecue, family, friends, the swimming pool, etc. You have almost 2,500 square meters of land, which is a little bit over half an acre, right? Half an acre of land with some fruit trees. You want to plant your own potatoes and little tomatoes in the garden. There's plenty of that. And there's a nice little place that has like your own little wooded forest, because it's 2,500 square meters. So you're in in the heart of the Minho, especially in the valley of Valença do Minho, and easy from Porto is less than an hour from Vigo Airport. Where remember you could fly
Oh,
from Vigo
yes,
to
yes.
Stansted.
You told us about that, didn't you? What an
30
incredible
minutes from
place.
Vigo. 30 minutes
Right.
from Vigo, and you can fly from Vigo to Stansted in the UK. And so nicely located and ready to move in. It was a family that bought this property. They bought it with us. You know, we have our track record. We don't list a lot of properties, Carl. We don't list a lot of properties. Because we work mostly as buyer representatives, right? We work with other colleagues' listings or even for sale by owners, off-market properties. So we don't do a lot of listings. The listings we do are properties we've sold years ago. This is a family from the UK that they bought it. They used it, loved it. Now they're getting older. Their children want them back home. They used to come back and forth. They spent lots of great summers there. Beautiful memories they have, but now it's time to go. They're getting older. Their children want their parents closer to them. And so they decided, and it took a while. They've been probably for about 2 years deciding whether they're going to sell it or not, etc. So finally, and it takes time to make those
It's
decisions.
tough, isn't it? I mean, if in a house with those sorts of memories, and if it's a beautiful house, it's going to be quite the process. But it is on the market now, and we're going to have
extremely tough, Carl, because they built these memories there, and they're happy, and they come before even now with Brexit and everything, so they're very limited on the time they could spend. But still, they still come and they visit, but now it's time to say goodbye. And they've, but it took, it's a process. Even us listing the property took a while, talking with them all the time, and whenever they're ready, and it takes time. And now, they've come to the conclusion, and we're going to be starting to do viewings in October only. They're spending the holiday here. They're going to be leaving at the end of September, early October. So that's when we're going to start viewings. And we're going to schedule, it's an open house for professionals or even other clients. Anybody wants to see it. We're not going to do visits. I want to see it on a Wednesday, on a Thursday. No, we're going to schedule one day from that time to that time, visit. And I'm sure, what's going to happen with this property. There's going to be not one person. And that's the difference between being a buyer agent. And we're not going to represent anybody on the buyer side. We can't. We're representing the listings, right? The listing side, working for the property owner. But you can damn sure that property is going to sell over $230K because of the amount of interest in the people. We already have scheduled that want to see the house. And because when these kind of properties at that priced, there's not one buyer, there's multiple buyers. And that's what happens here. Portugal is new to this multiple offer or multiple buyer situation. But guess what, Carl? It happens everywhere else in the world. And so when we represent the seller, I'm not looking to find that one buyer. I'm looking to find 10 buyers through other brokers and other professionals. Let them give those other 10 buyers the opportunity to see the property and make their offer. Hey, I want it. Maybe I'm willing to pay a little bit more than you. Hey, we'll take that. And that's what's going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have a look now at it, and you better put your contact details on the screen so that anyone who says
viewings after October, but we will not be able to represent you on the buyer side of the transaction. We're working with the listing, so if you don't have a buyer agent, I can recommend the buyer agent to represent you. We can't do it. You can never do both. It'd be a double agent, that doesn't work. So you have to, because you have to represent one. Who are you working for?
Totally get it. Yep, totally get it. I can't wait to see this place, and I'm sure others are equally keen. Let's roll VT and have a look at this beautiful property, 230,000 euros up there in the Minho.
Hey everyone, and so what can you get for 230,000 euros in Portugal? Well, just to give you a little sneak peek of a property that will be coming on the market. It is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home. It's 2 levels. On the ground floor, Casa do Minho, here in the Minho region of Portugal. And beautifully built and maintained. Looking for someone to give it new love. Family here is ready to move. And it has ground floor, open space garage. Beautiful view here to the countryside where you have sitting out. I think you can imagine having a nice gin and tonic here. It's just a sneak peek of the interior. This home, and you can see, has not been painted in, it's about 20 years old. It's still in its original state. Great quality construction throughout. And yeah, this is just a little teaser. Definitely stay tuned for more details. But it is a property that will be coming on the market soon. A new family looking forward to giving it the same love as a family that has given it here now, that's lived there for 16 years in Portugal. It has grounds of about 3,000 square meters. You got your own little forest as well in the property. This is just, hey, if you want to do some gardening. Looking at the exterior, this is an old annex, been converted, or actually just renovated. The barbecue. Definitely here, traditional way of the beams are built. Again, quiet area in Valença do Minho. Just the back area of the facade of the home. Swimming pool with built-in jacuzzi. And it does have heated pool with solar panels for the water here. And yeah, more details to come. Property that will be available very, very soon. So this is what you can get for 230,000 euros in Portugal. Okay, well guys, have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend ahead. Okay, cheers.
Tony, we'll take that early greeting for a bon fin de semana there. But that is an absolute beauty, isn't it? I mean, I love that pool and the outdoor area there, which you would pay 230,000 for that alone. In my native UK, I think, and you get a house as well. What a lovely location, and I can see the family having a great time over the last couple of decades there. Absolutely beautiful. Well, your nearest town, how quick to get to civilization, so to speak? I mean, you know, you're paying for the seclusion there, but how quickly can you get to the shops and so on?
Well, in the village itself, walking distance to little mini markets and coffee shops. You're within a walking distance of probably two.
Cool.
But to Valença, which is the biggest town, is about 10 minutes away. But even before that, there's a lots of shops on the way. But Valença, the center, is about 10 minutes away. Vila Nova de Cerveira is about 15 minutes. Anybody familiar with that? Ponta de Lima is close by, but it's Dakota is also. It's right in the middle there. But the closest would be Valença, about less than 10 minutes away. But in the village itself, there's quite a few little coffee shops and little mini markets within walking distance.
Okay, that's superb.
And the neighbors there are fabulous. The neighbors, you know, I remember specifically when this couple bought the property, they spent, I had authorization, of course, from the property owners at the time, that they wanted to spend a day there. And that's what I say, rent the property or look at it.
Yeah,
and it was their first time. It was their first time ever when they came to Portugal in the experience. So they didn't know. And we visited about 3 or 4 other properties with them. And they fell in love with this property. And so they spent the whole day. And I said, you know what, here, the property owners have given me authorization to give you the keys, and you spend and you get to know the neighbors and everything. That's what they did. And that's what they fell in love with, was the neighbors, the quality, the friends that they built around there, because you're not secluded by any means. There's quite a few neighbors, but far away, but enough distance, privacy. But it made the difference for them was strictly about the neighbors. It really was. And they said, "Okay, can we spend the whole day?" I says, "Here you go. The keys are here. Spend the whole day." At the time, and they did, and they loved it.
That's incredible. We have 50 plus. I always get this round the wrong way. Solo 50 plus Portugal. Great to see you here today. Thank you for being here. And she says of you, I love Tony's integrity. I already had a teaser of this on Instagram. Such a dream. So she loves that place. And Antonio F is saying, if you trip on something, you fall into Spain. So you really are close to Spain there. Galiza, is that the next Spanish town on from Valencia? We might have a little bit of a freeze from Tony here. Remember, that is wonderful. Loves your integrity. Such a dream. And there's a question here, which I hope you can come back and address for us, Tony. Here, Tony wants to sell a la Americana, the American way. I mean, guilty as charged, right? And it's not a bad thing, is it? That some of the highly professional techniques, style, and integrity that Louise is referencing might come into the Portuguese real estate market.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure. I got cut off a little bit. Can you hear me now, Carl? It's okay.
Yeah, we've got you, Matt. Yeah. There you go. Who's this comment here?
You know what it is? We have a lot. I mean, again, I spent 28 years in the U.S. And granted, I don't live there, but I still love the U.S. I'm proud to be an American. Many of the things, what I've learned and I've taken out of the U.S. was the way to do business when you do and getting things done. And that's how we do it. And with as clear as transparent. Yes, being, I think all real estate agents, we have some really great agents here in Portugal. We really do. So be very careful when you're working with one. Make sure that, that not only they're licensed or whatever, but I'm a broker, but most agents here are not. But it is about the transparency. When we're representing the seller or you're representing the buyer, you can't represent both. It's that simple. These things are put in place, and that all has to do with the National Association of Realtors, Carl, being a realtor. You can call yourself a realtor when you belong, when you're a member of the National Association of Realtors and you abide by a strict code of ethics. There's an exam. For it, because that's what it's about. It's that simple. Things are taken for granted. Sometimes we don't. So I've been doing business for more than 22 years living here with the mentality of an American. And it's that simple. And it's what's gotten me by, because I respond to emails. I answer calls.
What?
The simplest of things.
Coming over here with your American ways, answering emails on the phone. What are you doing?
It's that simple, but it really is. And
22, has it changed in that 22 years? It must have, right? I mean, you're seeing you've been working steadily, haven't you, over the last 22 years? And I think you're feeling this this hockey stick rise now, aren't you, so to speak?
Yeah, 22 years ago, speaking English was an extra bonus. Today, everybody speaks English. So you got to be more professional. What's your value proposition, right? What's your value proposition in the business? And that's what it's about. And that's helping people, serving people. People sometimes don't want to get caught up in renting properties because there's no money in it. That's very wrong. You help people, you serve. They're going to recommend you. We had someone. We're doing a deal now, and actually when we work with this client, she didn't work with us, but we gave her the information. You give information and people are going to remember that. Hey, then they make the mistake of not using us and then telling us we should have used you. You know what, we should have used you. And our friends are very happy they're using, because we get it done without any simple, everything is about keeping it simple, Carl. When somebody's moving, imagine from one little place to the other, it may be frustrating. Imagine moving to a different country. And I've been there, and a lot of our friends. And
yes, of course. Yeah, I think it's great to have that contrast, isn't it, of where you came from and what you intend to do here. And of course, your Portuguese roots. Sorry to keep you, because I know we're now at 9:30. Mrs. M will be here breathing down my neck, which I quite like, to get on to the Barefoot broadcast at 10. But you mentioned there, it's important to help people with rentals. And this is a fine example, isn't it? Are you all right for a few more minutes to have a look at this video and have a chat about it? Great. Okay, let's have a look at this then. This is Viana do Castelo, which is certainly, you helped put it on the map for this community. And here's a lovely rental property suitable for the D7 visa, and it will be available from October the 1st. Take a look at this.
Hello, everyone. And, well, coming soon for rent. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home here in Viana do Castelo. Great for the passive income visa, the D7 visa process, where you need a 1-year lease agreement, to fulfill the requirements. We'll have a look inside. Great condition. It's going to be furnished as well. Literally 5 minutes from the center of Viana do Castelo. It's got a great garden with the barbecue area. Centrally located, all services, right? I mean, this is in the center of practically Viana do Castelo. And the rear of the house, you could see another entrance. It's got a garage 3 levels, and downstairs you can see also it's a garage, but also family area. And so another patio here. And yeah, let's have a look inside. Again, 3 bedrooms, spacious, high ceilings, and it's been just completely painted inside. Again, high ceilings, kitchen area, lots of lights. View to the garden. And you have here, well, this is a door that leads to downstairs in the basement. And again, for a garage and storage and a family room. This is one of the dining rooms, or you can make it into an office. Again, high ceilings, lots of light. And this is full bath downstairs, one of them, right? Again, it's 3 bedrooms, three baths, one of is en suite. We'll go upstairs in a second, see the bedrooms. Sitting area. Again, lots of light, high ceilings. It's a century-old home, colonial style as well. Another area here for a dining area or lounge or office, library. Lots of light here. And so yeah, let's have a look upstairs and see the bedrooms. Again, 3 bedrooms. 1 bedroom is an ensuite and another full bath. You can see you have here, this is Santa Lucia. Okay, the Sacred Heart Church. Santa Lucia is on the top of Viana do Castelo. Nice view. And we'll start, here. 1 full bath. Another, this is the ensuite. Ensuite. And you have another bedroom. If you notice, all the bedrooms have 2 windows. So again, direct light. Just need to put the mattresses. And again, this will be fully furnished and ready to go on a year lease. And the value, 1,500 euros a month. It's a value here for this region. So coming soon, more details to come. Bye guys.
Superb. Look at this. Beautiful properties. Love Tony's approach to real estate. Thank you, Christina. Good to see you. And of course, Galicia is Galicia. Trip there, and or certainly in the first property, and you're in Spain, in Galicia, which is, I think people are very fond of. Ray also here this morning. We used to take our car on a drive on the ferry from Minho to La Guardia and spent great times in Bayona and beyond. That's also this Minho area that is coming to wider attention now, thanks to people like Tony, mainly to Tony, I think it has to be said. Very nice, lovely style of property. And a comparison in California, that would be 5,000 a month. Is that would you put it around there, Tony?
Yeah, maybe not 5,000, but about 3,500 to 4,000 for sure, without a doubt. Maybe more, depending. If you're in the Hollywood Hills, maybe 20,000.
Oh, of course, yes, up there in Bel Air, yeah.
Yeah, Bel Air.
How do people jump on this then? This is available from the 1st of October. How to take advantage of that?
Just reach out to us, because then if usually for this kind of property, you're going to need help with the D7 visa process, getting the NIF numbers, opening the bank account. So we have a relocation service for all that, and then getting the contracts prepared. But it's, if you're thinking of, if you're already living here and you don't need any of the that you already have the residency status, then it's a lot quicker, because most people, they're going to be they're looking now and they need the 1-year lease agreement, whether you have an appointment in sometime in November, December. So, but it's flexible, whether you start in October or November, because we can rent this property on a holiday basis as well. If it's not found in October, it's people that come in, they want to stay 2 weeks or a month to look at and discover the area. So that's another thing about this I always recommend. And even as I would say investment properties in that sense, Carl. Somebody that's using it sporadically as a holiday property, etc. Hey, rent it out to other people that are going to be wanting to discover the area. So you have some income of it, and maintenance of the property, etc. And unless you don't, of course, if you have the financial means and you don't want anybody else using the property, but having a property empty for a while, hey, give it to us for about a month or two, and let people use it for that period of time. You remember, you can come for 90 days and explore on the Schengen visa, right? So you don't need, and I would recommend it, always recommend renting, exploring the area, the Minho, the Silver Coast, the Central, the Algarve. There's a special place for everyone, even like Guardo, Viseu, in that area there. Hey, I like the colder weather, being off grid. So do that first. That's my
very good, great advice. Yeah, the base camp, a base camp idea. It's not that big a country by some people's standards. So yeah, get yourself a base camp and do exactly as Tony's saying, rent and have a look around and fall in love with that. Right, as Tony says again, there's somewhere for everybody here in Portugal. Tony, thank you so much. Always great fun talking to you. There's Tony's details there, infinite-solutions.pt, if you want to get in touch about anything you've seen or anything else. And all these lovely testimonials that have come in spontaneously about your approach to real estate here, Tony. Looking forward to next month already. Have a great day. Back at the grindstone of food, drink, and hanging out and having fun with people. You take care and don't work too hard.
Bye, Tom. Bye. I was going to call you. Carlito, see you soon.
I'll take that, Carlito. Take care, mate. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. There he goes. Fantastic. Wonderful. Always great fun. Bit of Tony time. And that will be our first Tuesday of the month. And often in this slot as well, João de Norte. And we do have a lovely bit of video. But I think Owen might be calling in just a moment. What I'll do is I'll start showing you some of the images that he was sharing on social media over the weekend. And we'll get the reassurance, having seen the horror of this, we will get the reassurance from Owen about how well it was dealt with up there in the north. So I'm just going to send him a quick message to give us a call now on what used to be the old Iberian FM phone line. These are some of the images. This is truly terrifying stuff. In the night, there you are, and you can see in the distance, and not too far in the distance, a blaze on the hills surrounding your house, and then actually, there's another one in the evening. But look at that. That came very close to where Owen lives. And then a bit further away in the hills there, the smouldering embers still by morning time. And the sight of the helicopters and aircraft coming in. This must have been one of those that you see on Fogos.pt. And you think to yourself, okay, I can understand why there's like 300 personnel on this. Actually, I need to call you, Owen. That didn't work especially well, did it? So I'm going to hit the callback button now. There we go. We're calling Owen, and you can understand why you've got hundreds of people.
Good morning.
Hello, Owen. I was just saying good morning to you. Thank you, mate, for taking some time out. I think you're on with Mrs. M in a little while, so thank you as part of your warm up being on the Good Morning Portugal show.
Can't hear you.
Oh, that's not good. I don't know why that is. Okay, I'll have to try that call again.
Carl, maybe I'm going to call you back because you sound like Pinky and Perky. So I'll call you back if that's okay.
I made a living sounding like Pinky and Perky back in the 80s. I won't go into that right now, but yeah, Owen will give us another call in just a moment, and we'll accept it and see what went on in. While we're doing that, actually, let me just share with you a video from João de Norte, because this is also very much a focus in the north of Portugal today. And that's where João de Norte normally lives, but he's over in the States at the moment and sent this report to us from Colorado.
This is Taylor Reservoir in central Colorado. Those mountains are on the backside of Aspen. Aspen is on the other side of those mountains there. You may not have heard of Taylor Reservoir, but you've probably heard of Aspen.
Hasn't he got the most amazing voice? Let's give Owen a buzz now. Thank you so much, João de Norte, for thinking of us and sending that to us from where you are. Let me give... I'm not calling everybody in a group. That would be a bit embarrassing on air this morning. Let's try Owen one more time and see if we can make this work now. Right. Not even getting a ringtone. Oh, it's just like the old days of the Iberian FM phoning, isn't it? With incomplete calls. Oh, here we go. Can we hear you now, Owen? No, we can't. We're through to him, but we can't hear him. I don't know what the problem is. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that. But I can say that clearly Owen is safe and well, despite the concerns we had over the weekend and those horrific pictures that came in, these sort of things that you see. And as Tony said in our Tony Time section, and as Owen reported, this was dealt with brilliantly by the Bombeiros here in Portugal. So things have certainly improved in the last few years in terms of prevention, having people look after their land, and make sure that the background isn't there, the circumstances aren't there for fires to erupt. They do happen and that's a part of life in Portugal. And the Bombeiros response and resources seem to be so much better, as we saw with Owen this weekend. So thank you, Owen, for showing that. Sorry we couldn't make the connection. Better luck with the Barefoot broadcast. So stick around to hear. Is that right, Mrs. M? You got Owen with you on your show at 10 o'clock in about 18 minutes' time. I want to share with you before we go here we go. He's recorded us a message. He's a pro. Let's see if we can hear this.
Sorry, Carl, having problems getting through there. Hopefully my video will be okay for joining Louisa later on. But yes, 73 firemen, 3 air supports and 23 vehicles at the weekend. Everything was organised up by the Boa Morte Church up here in Ponta de Lima. But all is okay. Fires are all out within 48 hours. Everybody's safe and well. So there you go. There's my report.
That was superb. Thank you, Owen. That's really helpful. And who's this? Popped on after a long absence to hear the dulcet tones of Owen saying Carl sounds like Pinky and Perky. Nothing's changed, eh? Well, yes, I guess you could say that. At least you don't look like Pinky and Perky. Well, did you have Pinky and Perky in the States as well? Were they a global brand? I wonder. It looks like they might have been. Cheers, Owen. That's fantastic. And bon dia to you from Antonio F. We could stay with the hotline, 913-590-303, because Antonio very kindly sent us a tongue twister that we were getting our tongues round over at learnaboutportugal.com. Where did you end up, Antonio? I have a bulging mail sack. Don't look over at me like that, Mr. Sim. A bulging sack of correspondence, including Antonio's tongue twisters here. Oh, here we go. Let's have a listen to this. That's easy. Come on, everyone at home, try this. Okay, something a little bit easier then, perhaps. Tres tristes tigres. That'll be a little bit easier for you. Is this what he's saying on this recording?
Tres tristes tigres.
Tres
No,
tristes
slowly. Tres tristes tigres.
Okay, what I'm going to do is put that on the screen for you now. Here's your impromptu Portuguese lesson today. So this is going on the screen now. Tres tristes tigres. Okay, and I'd like you to try it at home. Here it is, slowly for you for your first pass.
No, slowly. Tres tristes tigres.
And a bit quicker.
Tres tristes tigres. No, slowly. Tres tristes tigres.
Antonio, you legend. Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated. I think that should take us to more Learn About Portugal material. It's harder if you say it fast, like with all tongue twisters, right? Last year's on the fire note here, I think. Last year's fire, 1,600 people, about 400 appliances, and 8 aircraft lasted 8 days. That was a restless few days over there in Alviagra, where we were joined, of course, from Alviagra by the gin swilling crew of the Austins and Ben Austin, who I said I'd show you the gin selection, didn't I, at Estado Líquido. And that's where I went to get Ben's suggestion of this Amicis gin. So let's have a look at that in just a moment. After we've had thanks, Antonio, from Christina. I think he's enjoyed that a bit of tongue twisting this morning. Who doesn't like? Okay, I will play for you a gin video, which will ease us nicely into the Portugal quiz question of today. I gave you a tour of the studio and lab of Estado Líquido. This is their gin section right here.
Well, this is pretty extraordinary here. I'm looking at the gin selection in Estado Líquido, and my eye is going to things like these Portuguese gins here: Limão, Gin Sul Laranjal, The Botanist. I mean, I don't know a lot about gin, but they must be Japanese gins there. And we've got a fantastic top shelf where our selection for tonight is coming from, the Amicis gin. But look at that, it's incredible, isn't it? Some of the favourites like Bombay Sapphire, Bulldog I can see in there, Foxtail. This is incredible, who knew? Moons, what's that about? It's a tiny little one for €50. Moons barrel-aged gin. That doesn't look like a Portuguese one. Martin Miller's gin. Le Tribute gin. And these Hendrix specialities here. Quite amazing.
Isn't that fabulous? And I sounded like an alcoholic David Attenborough, didn't I? Whispering my way through a massive liquor store there. So that led on to a fantastic tasting last night, led by Ben. Great job, Ben. Really enjoyed trying it neat. Yes, we drank neat gin last night. Then we had a classic gin and tonic thereafter. And then something called a London Mule, which I believe is based on the Russian Mule, which is would be vodka, I think, and ginger beer. We had gin, of course. I think London can take the credit, can't it, for coming up with gin and popularizing or peddling gin for many centuries. And something new, as you saw from that video there, something new is happening around the world, isn't it? These incredible gin producers. And this one, I thought it was Amicis, or is it Amicis? It is, or Amicus. It's Amicis in a kind of Latin Roman sort of way. And this is what we tried last night. It is superb, and it's scooped. Well, it got 5 stars from us last night. And it's won an international award against loads of other gins from around the world. It's won one of those Bruegels awards for a great gin. So it's picking up awards. Well done, Central Portugal. Well done, Portugal. Well done, the people behind Amicis. Incredible packaging, beautifully thought out, beautifully created and made and blended. And I'll just give you a little bit more backstory before we move on and do some dad jokes, and maybe even get Mrs. M on the microphone to say what's coming up in the Barefoot broadcast after this show. So here we go. We are looking at the Portuguese quiz question of today. It's a gin-interesting question. See what I did there? The Portugal quiz question for today, the 5th of September. Portugal's Amicis gin is distilled from 14 natural botanicals from the central region of the country, giving it its floral touch and unique characteristics, and was awarded 5 stars last night by the GMP Wine Tasting Club. One of the 14 natural botanicals are Carcasia flowers that grow in the mountains of central Portugal, where the gin is proudly sourced and created. By what English name might you know the yellow Carcasia flower? Is it the daffodil, the narcissus, as some people call it? Is it gorse? Is it hibiscus? Is it sunflower? Or is it yarrow that's put there in the wonderful Amicis gin, which we really enjoyed last night? And there you go. I had Fever Tree premium ginger beer with mine. I wasn't sure I couldn't remember if the recipe, the cocktail, had ginger ale or ginger beer. Definitely ginger beer. And Fever Tree's ginger beer is fire. It is very warming, and I really enjoyed that. And I can see myself drinking that in the winter as a warmer, but also as quite the refresher in the summer as well. We really enjoyed it. I don't know if I've made that clear. We really enjoyed the Amicis gin last night. Mrs. M, did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did.
A bit of a different experience, right? The Amicis. What were your impressions of it? We can hear you.
Hello.
We can hear everything you say.
Sorry, I cleared my throat.
Yeah, thanks.
I thought it was very fragrant. I really liked the smell-scape of it.
Yeah.
You know, it had a real kind of picture to it. It was really it was just different.
It was
I really liked it.
olfactorily orgasmic, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and then you said that it was made from lots of different ingredients found in central Portugal.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Which made it
14,
really super
14.
special.
Yeah. Try gin tinto. Says what would
What's
that
that?
be?
Like gin and red wine mixed together?
Really, Antonio?
I'm just guessing.
But you might be right. There could well be a Portuguese thing that you've not tried. I like the Tanqueray. Nothing else has that taste, says T-Duck. Tanqueray 10. Neat, is very smooth. Smells nice too, says Gary Austin about the emesis.
It really does. It could almost be an aftershave.
That's true, isn't it? And,
I would wear that.
And would you find me attractive if I
definitely
took you out one evening with a touch of emesis behind each ear?
Yeah.
Okay. Tequila bottle spotted on the top shelf there in Estado Líquido. Tequila is not easy to find in Portugal, especially Herradura. And Thunder, it leaves Tanqueray dead in its tracks. And I like Tanqueray. How about that for a review? And I found
bit
in
of gin rivalry
Comporta
going on
some
there.
tequila. You'd expect to find tequila in Comporta alongside George Clooney and others there. Oh, I realize how much people love talking about gin. And clearly the same is happening this morning. We've got the
gin tinto.
We've got
so
the
first
gin
red gin
tinto. Yep. Thanks, Antonio. I'm going to just bringing that on the screen now so that everybody can see it. Yeah, Owen, thank you for that report. That was
what's
super.
making that red? Is it like a grenadine or?
I
something
don't
like
know.
that?
What's he saying there in his comment with the?
He said
what
made
he
in
said?
Valencia de Minho.
Yeah.
Gin tinto, the first red gin in the world.
The first red gin in the world. How about that? Portugal, you rock. Look at that. That's a nice, lovely bottle as well, that, isn't it? With a lot of these gin bottles, you can't tell how much is left in the bottle. So you just drink it to find out. Is that the psychology?
I don't know why they
behind
just didn't call it ginto.
You know that's what we'd have called it, but they're probably not as susceptible to a pun and wordplay as we are.
Ginto.
Ginto. Maybe it does get
¿Quieres
short
un
to
ginto?
Sí. Certo to the ginto. Okay.
Ginto.
And I think where we're going to go next month, is we're going to do it. We're going to go to Aguardente. And there's that fantastic meme from the Portuguese kids, Portuguese dads and uncles, when they give you a sip of homemade aguardente. We won't be doing homemade. I doubt that very much, because we want to have one that people can find and join in with us. Does anyone have a recommendation of an aguardente?
I used to sell that in my French campsite bar.
What, the homemade hooch?
Yeah.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. We had some local people that made it.
I bet the EU didn't like that very much.
Well, it was before all the regulations came in.
We were talking about Schengen and the EU and NATO, and I think Veronica was suggesting possibly that it was quite easy who's in which bit. That doesn't look... Here we go. Here's your at a glance. Who's in the EU, NATO and Schengen and Eurozone? That is a mess as far as I'm concerned. And isn't it the idea of these things, of these United States of Europe and federations, to make things simpler? It just seems the more humans try and simplify things,
the more things get horribly complicated.
They become.
Yeah,
right?
because then they're like, oh, that country over there, it wants independence on this thing, and then it's in a new category. And
yes,
yeah.
Beware, homemade aguardente is moonshine. Okay, we're not going to go there. We will definitely stick with something we can buy from the shop that we can all buy. And from T-Duck to Garvo, I plan to pick up a bottle. I'm not much of a drinker these days, but I like having a nicely stocked bar. Well, I've got some that you're very welcome to here, T-Duck. I'd love to do it. Maybe at one of our picnics, I'll bring a little bit of a snifter along.
Yes, that's a good idea.
A gin snifter. Okay. I think we'll wrap it up there. Apart from, I just want to say a little bit more about why I'm going into this Love Portugal idea. And it connects beautifully.
Why is that?
Because I had this thought. I do present quite a confusing picture. We've got to learn about Portugal. We've got Good Morning Portugal. We've got the Portugal quiz. And all of it revolves really about my love of Portugal. And that's what I think the Good Morning Portugal show is about, is people coming together to share their love of Portugal and loving their lives here in Portugal.
Do you know what? I think that will morph at some point into
something else.
Love life.
Well, that's what you do. That's why I'm mentioning it, because as I saw it yesterday, the Barefoot broadcast is about people loving their lives. And for me, just in this little bit, in this niche, I'm here to help you love your life here in Portugal. Because, we get pictures, don't we? People loving their lives in Portugal. That's what it's all about. We share, we talk about Portugal, how much we love it, what we're doing and how much we love doing those things. And of course, we're here for those people who've maybe, like any love affair, it requires work. It's not full on love all the time, is it? And there are things that challenge us in life, whether it's in Portugal or in the wider global sense. And we're here for you in that sense as well. When when you feel like you've fallen out of love a little bit, we're here to get you back on, or is it off the wagon?
What I would say to that, I mean, I agree 100% with that and what you're saying. Often when we fall out of love with something, we think it's because we've moved to another country.
Yeah.
But actually, I always think it's we've fallen out of love with ourselves.
Exactly.
And rather than blame ourselves, we normally, are projecting onto something. And, what's the newest thing that's happened in your life?
Yes.
Could be that new relationship. It could be that new country. Could be that new tax system, whatever.
Well said.
There's
Mrs.
always
M.
something that we can, hang some kind of blame on. But often we've just fallen out of, we've stopped listening to ourselves. We've stopped really, tuning into what's important.
Yeah, and it's not like love went anywhere or Portugal went anywhere.
No, they're still there.
It's our focus drifted away, didn't it? So we're here for you. So it is about loving Portugal. There are lots of people now, many more people who are coming into the market every day. Thank you, Tony, for that.
What was that about the Ginto or falling out of love with ourselves?
That I think probably what you said, what she said there. Of course, it is well said, Mrs. M. Yeah, we're here for you in that regard. There are many. We used to be a lot about how to help people move to Portugal. We know lots of great people who can help you do that. The Good Morning Portugal is here for you for the rest of your life here in Portugal, as long as I have breath in my body. With a slight top note of gin on it, has to be said at the moment.
Or coffee.
Or coffee, like a teacher's staff room. Gin was first made in Holland, and there's a Swiss gin, isn't there, called Geneva? Or Geneva. I'm not sure where that was going, but yes, we'll keep working on that. I like it. Yeah, but seriously, we're here about loving life in Portugal. And if you fall out of love a little bit, like Mrs. M saying, like with love affairs, it's about doing the work, isn't it? It's not going to just come to you. We're lucky to have a really great head start. And a lot of people, it's love at first sight, and people falling head over heels with love and life in Portugal. And then, of course, with any love affair, there are moments where you have your wobbles and second thoughts and power struggles and so on. But I think this is this is a country of enduring and deep connection. I've certainly found that in the little time I've been here in the 6 years. Would you add anything to that, Mrs. M?
Yeah, I think I would. Thank you for that. I actually think, most people around the world are tackling themselves head on in their country of origin.
Yes.
And so sometimes there's more contrast there for them because they can they can easily see the things that they don't like. Lots of people live in a way where they just settle for where they're born and where they're raised and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think it's harder for expats because, we might not be feeling great in ourselves.
Yes.
And we might be in a really, really beautiful environment. And so, it's almost harder to identify what goes wrong when it goes wrong because you're in a great place that you've chosen.
Yeah.
So,
all right. And if you have fallen out of love with life and Portugal a little bit, here's a beautiful child with a kitten to cheer you up here as we do some dad jokes. Look at that little Portuguese kitten right there. The dad jokes this morning, and I will finish before 10, Mrs. M. Tofu is overrated.
Oh my God, you're gonna have to finich now.
It's just occurred to me. 2 men stole a calendar. They got 6 months each. Oh yes. If a child goes to the first day of school and a parent doesn't post it on Facebook, did it really happen? Very good, thank you. And I've got 15 seconds of video to play, then it's over to Mrs. M.
But you've got a 1 minute outro.
I'm not going to play that. I've got something else for everybody. Here are some people in 15 seconds loving life in Portugal. Here you go.